Part 128. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1273. The door is wide open, which is indeed exciting. When he was embarrassed, Zhang Zizai quickly covered his face, changed his clothes in the blink of an eye, turned around and backed away with a righteous look, and said, "You should quickly put it on too." The flower just now was so terrifying. He could even come up with the lie that the 9 immortals were stored in Xuanhuan. It was simply breathtaking. As I write this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. If it hadn't been like this, Zhang Zizai's divine soul would not have been tricked. There are always some weak points in everyone's heart. That flower just caught the weak point in Zhang Zizai's heart and directly inserted the needle into it, so that he could let go. He fell into that situation and couldn't extricate himself. Now that I think about it, I'm a little scared. The flower didn't just want something to happen to them, but in the process of what happened to them, there would definitely be further actions. It was the red mist that the Chaos Soul Clock automatically protected. Otherwise, in a state of forgetfulness, you might be controlled by this flower. Fortunately, I have the 9 Dragons Chaos Divine Bell. But all this seems to be different to Xuanhuan. Now she was lying in a shameful posture, and Zhang Zizai pulled up his pants. At this moment, his whole body was hot and weak. Who knew if this was before or after? Anyway, the way Zhang Zizai hurriedly escaped seemed like an afterthought. The more he thought about it, the more it felt like it. The key was that he had no memory at all. He also asked himself to put it on quickly. At this moment, the energy and blood directly attacked her heart, her eyes immediately turned red, and her whole body was trembling. She was angry and panicked. She never thought that such an experience would happen in the ancient realm, and she had already died. At that moment, my mind went blank, and I even thought about dying. She didn't even know who the hairy boy in front of her was, and everything was over. At that moment, her face looked gloomy and she stood up tremblingly. Even her fingers when putting on clothes were trembling. When she raised her head from her lowered head, Zhang Zizai could almost see that her eyes were blood red. He was startled. The other party's murderous intention was so fierce that he obviously would not stop until he killed him. Don't get me wrong. It was you who was enchanted by the spirit of that flower. I just came here and was also enchanted. I saw you as another person. Fortunately, I have a stronger mental will. I tried my best to rein in the situation at the last moment, so I didn't make a big mistake. Fortunately, this time came, otherwise you would have taken advantage of others, Zhang Zizai said quickly. It's hard to explain this matter. He said it like this, which is the limit. So, it's just cheaper for you, right? Her voice was low, and every word was dripping with blood. Don't get me wrong. You are indeed fine now. If you don't believe me, go out and find an expert to confirm. I have never touched you, and I am a gentleman. She didn't say anything, but it was clear from her bloody eyes that she only believed in her own judgment. She didn't believe a word Zhang Zizai said. Although she remembered the flower and probably knew that it was the flower's manipulation, what she couldn't bear was that it was an unknown person like Zhang Zizai who came. She has such a noble status, but she accidentally takes advantage of such an ordinary person. How can she bear it in her heart? So no matter what I say, it's useless. Zhang Zizai felt that he was also a victim and couldn't explain it. He actually didn't have much patience. Yes, you don't have to say anything, I just want you to die. She finally expressed her attitude. When she said these words, the large area around her began to completely fall into the deadly cold. Ice has condensed on the cave wall. This is a world colder than the ice of the Chaos Ice Bell. It seems that no living thing can move in it. The blood is condensed and loses its vitality. Her long ice blue hair was flying, and there was ice everywhere. At this moment, She was like a goddess of ice and snow, extremely cold and emotionless. She had sealed all the exits around her, obviously not wanting Zhang Zizhe to leave. The other party was so unreasonable because she thought she was noble and could not bear the fact that she was involved with Zhang Zizhe. I am afraid that even if she killed Zhang Zizhe, she would not be able to fully vent her hatred. The thought of lying in front of Zhang Zizhe in such a shameful position made her feel murderous and her whole body was numb. Whoosh! She had already attacked, and countless ice spikes condensed in the air, sweeping in like a storm, piercing all Zhang Zizhe's fatal parts. He narrowly escaped, but by this time, his temper had also risen. He squinted his eyes and said, "Are you sure you want to do this? I have no grudges with you, there is no need. The two of us suffered together and were confused. There is no need to target me. You talk too much. Only dead people cannot speak," Xuanhuan said coldly. She attacked again, this time more ferociously, with ice spikes covering the sky. She was definitely not joking when she said she wanted to kill Zhang Zizhe. In this case, Zhang Zizhe's temper also increased. He suddenly smiled and said, "Now that you have determined the result, I will let you know the truth. The truth is that we have been playing for several days, and now I am more familiar with your body than my own. If you are lucky enough to get pregnant, remember to tell him the identity of the father." He also found it annoying to keep pestering her. Anyway, if she insists on thinking this way, then let her dream come true. I will strangle him to death when he is still young. She was really crazy. Of course, she was already at the 8th level of the God King realm, and she was also the daughter of the Lord of the Kangxue domain, the first genius under the god of the Kangxue domain, and she would surely become a god in the future. In fact, she was not far from the level of a god now. Before becoming a god, he had such a demon in his heart, how could he not be twisted? She knew clearly that only if he died without a burial place, only if he was cut into pieces, would she be terribly relieved, even if he didn't mean it. Die. At this time, she took out a long sword of ice and snow. She probably knew that Zhang Zizhe's realm was only about the 4th or 5th level of the God King realm, and was completely different from her, so she thought she could easily kill him. After the ice and snow longsword came out, the sword energy surged, and thousands of ice and snow sword lights flew over, almost blocking all of Zhang Zizhe's paths. At this time, the power of her totem was also revealed. This is a domain-type totem that completely blocked any way out for Zhang Zizhe. The 8th level of the Divine King realm is indeed extraordinary. But just wanting to kill Zhang Zizhe in this way is a bit of an underestimation of him. Today is different from the past. Zhang Zizhe has 3 layers of chaos giant bells to protect his body. It is difficult for her to kill with the sword technique, and it is difficult to hit Zhang Zizhe with chaos lightning. Even if the ice and snow are cut, it can't penetrate the 10,000 layers of green waves and platinum bell cover. Please bookmark this site to read the latest novels. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1274. She could clearly see that when her sword moves hit Zhang Zizhe, it was blocked by the Chaos Water Bell. The rippling water clearly looked like a giant green bell, and the Chaos Lightning and Purple Fire Sky Wings could both look like a giant Chaos Bell. She was extremely shocked that she could not instantly shred Zhang Zizhe with the strength of the 8th level of the Divine King realm. She stepped back to observe that Zhang Zizhe was unscathed, and the chaos bells on his body were so obvious. This is a heavenly artifact, 9 Dragon Chaos God Bell. At that moment, she trembled all over. Because she had a heavenly artifact, she could distinguish it better. She knew clearly that in the entire ancient realm, there were a few people who had heavenly artifacts like her. Of all the heavenly artifacts, the 9 Dragon Chaos God Bell was of course the first and irreplaceable one. It was something that many heavenly gods of the Supreme Dragon clan could not control, and even the 4 Dragon Emperors could not control. At this time, the nine-dragon chaos god Bel appeared in front of her, clearly explaining the identity of the person in front of her. "You are Zhang Zizhe." Her eyes narrowed completely. She had never seen Zhang Zizhe, so she had never recognized her. She had only heard of her name. Even last time she got the crystal beast heart, she also heard Zhao Wuxian say it. Naturally, she felt that this person could do this. It was incredible. "That's right. I am such a famous person. As the father of your child, don't you feel better? I am worthy of you. And I am only in my 20s. You are an old cow eating tender grass. In fact, you are still the winner. You defiled the pure me," Zhang Zizhe said with a smile. Xuanhuan wanted to make him crazy, but another thing was more important. At this time, being defiled was only one aspect of hatred. On the other hand, it was enough to make her murderous. "So you know that if you kill you, you can get the crystal beast heart, the ancient black fire pillar and the two-world talisman. But you are still so bold that you dare to follow in." Xuanhuan's voice was extremely cold, and her killing intent was changing. In the change, she added some greed. "Yes, it was because I coveted your beauty, so I followed in without knowing whether to live or die. As the saying goes, a drunken beauty lying on her lap can make a ghost romantic. Are you satisfied with this answer? Can you bypass me now and let me leave?" Zhang Zizhe said with a smile. He knew it was impossible. Recognizing his identity, she wanted to kill him even more. "You let me find a way to heal my wounds. Give me the 3 treasures of the crystal beast heart, plus your life, as atonement," she said. "Wow, is your body made of gold? It's so expensive," Zhang Zizhe laughed dumbly. "Some people are indeed extremely proud, but it's just greed, and they don't even admit it. Zhang Zizhe is much more straightforward. He doesn't hide what he wants. I heard that you can defeat Zhao Wuxian, so I won't hold back." She just thought that she could easily kill Zhang Zizhe, so she didn't use much strength. Now, what she wants is to kill Zhang Zizhe quickly, for fear that the night is long and dreams are many. When her murderous intent reached its peak, it broke out directly. Zhang Zizhe never thought that such a delicate beauty would turn into a totem beast in front of her. It was a very rough and domineering polar bear with terrible power. Its body was snow white, its hair was slightly light blue, its eyes were blue like ice crystals, and its flesh and blood were full of terrifying power. Zhang Zizhe saw her rough appearance and was really glad that he had stopped at the brink of danger. Otherwise, if she suddenly turned into this polar bear when she was excited, she would have been crushed into a pie. Snow Country Heaven Polar Bear Totem. Her totem domain, called Snow Country Heaven, was truly revealed at this time. In an instant, in the area controlled by the polar bear, it seemed as if I had come to another ice and snow world. The whole world was under her control. This huge polar bear was the absolute master here. The Snow Country Heaven was freezing cold. It was so cold that it seemed that the body was always freezing here. Whether it was frozen inside or outside, it was very difficult to resist the cold air of the Snow Country Heaven. In such a field, any opponent would be greatly restricted. Slowing down was the most obvious. Here, it was always restricted by the cold. The whole world was suppressed. It seemed like it was in a quagmire. Sometimes even the speed of chaotic lightning could not flash. And the terrible polar bear came and went freely in such a field. However, her real treasure came from her heavenly artifact Blizzard God City. In fact, Xuanhuan was very famous. She was a very famous existence among the god kings. There were almost no god kings in the 49 god realms who did not know her. Her popularity was much higher than that of the dragon god king. Whether it was her status, beauty, or strength, she could be said to be a legendary god king. The Blizzard God City, this divine artifact, is a city. Such a city now directly overlaps with the Snow Country Heaven. Zhang Zizhe was trapped in a city. This city was full of ice sculptures. The ice sculptures were various people and divine beasts. In this blizzard god city, Zhang Zizai saw countless things like crystal beasts. Of course, these were all part of the blizzard god city. Now, these ice sculptures have awakened one after another. Whether they are gods or divine beasts, they launched a crazy attack on Zhang Zizai. There are at least more than 100,000 of them. Even if they are broken, they will recondense after a period of time. It must be said that this blizzard god city is worthy of being called a heavenly artifact. It is much stronger than Qin Yuxian's prisoner dragon scroll. Of course, that is because Qin Yuxian does not know how to use the prisoner dragon scroll. Now, Zhang Zizai can be said to be trapped in the fatal oppression of Xuanhuan. She has come to Zhang Zizai. The terrifying polar bear body begins to bombard. The seemingly bulky body is actually very agile when performing the battle tactics. Its claws are also very terrible weapons. She really wants to kill people. Everything she has is to kill Zhang Zizai. Only by killing her can she get back on track and forget these shameful memories today. Those treasures are her compensation. However, Zhang Zizai is stronger. He is already the 5th level of the God King. He has the forbidden dragon god phase. When he turns into the chaos-swallowing sky dragon at this moment, he also has 10 times the holy dragon celestial body. In terms of the real flesh and blood god body power, he seems not as thick as the polar bear. In fact, the power of the god body will only be stronger. Fight. Zhang Zizai has never been afraid of such a battle. But now, he still uses the power of the 2 great divine artifacts, especially the 9-dragon chaos divine bell. Please bookmark this site to read the latest novels. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1275. These 9 giant bells of chaos almost made him invincible. First of all, it was difficult for the ice sculptures in Blizzard City to break through his defense and could only restrict him. The real threat was Xuanhuan's body. But the main body has to face the double blow of Zhang Zizai's 9 dragons Chaos Divine Bell and the ancient Black Fire Divine Pillar. The ancient Black Fire Divine Pillar fell from the sky, suppressed with a crash, and hit the polar bear head-on. No matter how rough she was, when Zhang Zizai's requiem sounded and the huge power of the soul began to sweep over, the battlefield was already in Zhang Zizai's head. Feel free to be in control. He held the ancient Black Fire Divine Pillar with his dragon claws, and also used the power of his current divine body. A divine dragon was carrying a stick. The scene was very strange, but the stick hit the huge polar bear so much that it could only scream. And at this time, the Chaos Soul Bell has changed into the Soul Killing Song, and the suppression of other Chaos Giant Bells has also been added, crushing them all. When Zhang Zizai went crazy and used dozens of sticks on the ancient Black Fire God Pillar to make the opponent retreat step by step, Xuanhuan was defeated on the spot. As long as Zhang Zizai's realm is high enough, no one can stop him when he blocks the opponent's attack and unleashes the power of the Heavenly Soul and the 2 heavenly artifacts. Broken, when the soul-killing song reached its peak, Zhang Zizai struck out with a majestic stick, sending the polar bear flying backwards. At the same time, the entire snow country's heaven was shattering. When Xuanhuan's soul was wounded, the blizzard city was also shattered. The person takes control and disappears directly, leaving Zhang Zizai with no pressure on him. Boom! Everything was shattered. When the Snow Kingdom disappeared, the cave world returned to Zhang Zizai's eyes, and Xuanhuan in front of him hit the ground hard and fell to pieces. It was even more unsightly than last time. Zhang Zizai originally wanted to kill her, but after all, the other party was a girl, and it was normal to be angry after suffering a loss, so this time, he gave her a chance. Although he fell like a dog, his buttocks were still raised quite high. Zhang Zizai couldn't help but laugh and said, "Why are you sticking your hips up so high? Do you know that I like this position?" Ah, when she got up, her face was already pale, and she was locked directly under the corner. She looked at Zhang Zizai with her whole body trembling. It was hard for her to believe this fact. How could you be so powerful? You are only in your 20s. This is impossible. She saw the most unbelievable thing in the world. At this moment, her mind went blank. Before, it was all murderous intent, but now there is only fear. Nothing is impossible. People who defy heaven will always be born, right? So, I am so good. I really suffered a loss in what happened before, but you made a profit. You tainted a pure young man like me. It's an old ant like you who is lucky. You really don't need to be coy, you really made a profit, Zhang Zizai said with a smile. He was actually trying. He didn't expect that he could even defeat the 8th level of the God King realm with the divine artifact. In just 1 year, he has made such great progress. It is indeed very comfortable. This ancient realm is indeed his blessed land. He really couldn't react. He was already so strong, as if in his imagination, he was only number 1 on the supreme list of Zilong Academy. It turns out that he is already the top God King, and he can walk sideways in this ancient realm, and no one can take away his things. This time, when Zhang Zizai said this, she was speechless. Even seeing the boy's naughty smile, she was a little confused. She was in her 20s and had 2 divine weapons to defeat herself. What kind of concept is this? There has never been such a person in the 49 divine realms since ancient times. Now you think you've earned it, do you want to do it again while it's hot? You were not sober before, so it's not interesting. It's useless for you to resist, it will only add more fun to me. If you don't obey me, I will kill you. The 2 of us turned into a talisman for everyone to watch, Zhang Zizai joked. You are shameless. Xuanhuan was so frightened that she burst into tears. She hid in the corner tremblingly, panicking. When Zhang Zizai approached him, she had no strength left and could only shed tears. Begged, don't use the image talisman, don't let others know, please. Zhang Zizai was stunned. He thought she meant don't touch her by saying Don, but it turned out to be don't let others know, which meant that if he really wanted to force her, she would no longer refuse. You think so beautifully, I'm just teasing you. By the way, I really haven't touched you. I still can't stand you like this. Goodbye. After saying that, he turned around and ran away quickly. The other person's eyes had changed. If he continued to catch her, she would be dependent on him, which would be even more troublesome. Zhang Zizai just tried to scare her. Who made her want to kill herself so cruelly just now? Before she could react, Zhang Zizai had disappeared. The last sentence left her standing there, her mind in confusion. She had already given in, but he ran away. Was she really as unbearable as he said? She stood up in confusion. There was still no answer to what happened today. What made her unable to calm down for a long time was that not many people knew about his strength, such speed of progress, and terrifying growth. She couldn't figure out what this concept was for a while. Recalling the way I was lying in shame in front of him and him kneeling in front of me, I felt a little forgetful for a moment. Such a young man was only in his 20s. If something really happened, would it be me, an old ant, who really take advantage? Lianer, just as she was still imagining, an anxious voice suddenly came. When she looked up, it was the god King Liushan. He came hurriedly and said, "Just now I felt the breath of your snow country heaven from a distance, and hurriedly came to find you. As expected, I met you." When he saw Xuanhuan's pale face and unsteady movements, he was shocked and hurriedly grabbed her arm and asked, "Are you injured? Whoever fights with you, I will make him pay the price. Don't touch me. Xuanhuan quickly pulled her arm out. She was not used to it. At this time, she saw that the other party really cared about her, so she calmed down. I'm sorry, I was also anxious, Zhao Wuxian said hurriedly. Tell me who did it. Do you really want to know? Xuanhuan asked. Nonsense, no matter who it is, I won't let him have an easy time, Zhao Wuxian said with concern. It's Zhang Zizai from the Dragon Sacrifice Divine Domain, the one with many treasures. In his 20s. She emphasized the age of 20. To the people of the 49 Divine Domain, this age is like a baby, so if she really let a baby sleep with her, it would be quite strange to think about it. Are you kidding? Zhao Wuxian said with a headache. Please bookmark this site to read the latest novels. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Feng Qingyang. Chapter 1276. I'm really not joking. Do you believe it or not? Your brother was almost killed by him, Xuanhuan said coldly. She knew he would not believe it, so she became even more unhappy. She now knows that all the people who look down on her are Zhang Zizai's things are all wood. You're right. If I see him, I will definitely kill him and avenge Wu Xian. But are you really sure it's him? Isn't someone else pretending to be him? Does he dare to follow him here? Zhao Wuxian asked cautiously. I'll say it again, it's definitely him. Could the ancient black fire divine pillar be wrong? Could the 9 dragons chaos divine bell be wrong? Xuanhuan was already impatient. When she saw Zhao Wuxian, she felt particularly irritable. When she thought about her future self, the possibility of marrying him made her even more irritated. She was thinking about what she would do if she was really pregnant, how she would give birth. Rather than strangle to death. Okay, if it's definitely him, then I estimate that he must have entered the state of reincarnation. I told you last time that he has the heart of the true dragon of reincarnation, practices very quickly, and will definitely become a god. Ha! Xuanhuan didn't want to speak anymore, she knew he would definitely say this. What do you mean, Lianer? Why are you unhappy? Is he too cruel? Zhao Wuxian asked distressedly. It's really hard to guess a woman's mind. He is used to shouting at women, and it's really hard for him to please someone. Not used to it? I'm only going to say it once, he just shot normally, there is no reincarnation state at all. How can it be so easy to enter the reincarnation state? Xuanhuan said coldly. How is that possible? Before he entered the ancient realm, he was not a god king. He could only defeat Yin Zijun, who was at the 3rd level of the god king realm of the galaxy god realm. Zhao Wuxian laughed hoarsely. As soon as he finished speaking, Xuanhuan turned around and left. Lianer, don't leave. Let's move together. You may have seen it wrong. It's definitely reincarnation, Zhao Wuxian said. However, Xuanhuan ignored him and left directly, saying, No, let's move together. If any treasure appears, you have to give it to me. Wouldn't it make you feel uncomfortable? It's better for each of us to go our separate ways. Anyway, I can't die either. In fact, she had hit on Zhao Wuxian's idea. Zhao Wuxian was actually not willing to go with her. It would be fine if he had an ordinary fortune. Giving it to her as a favor would increase her favor. However, if it was a top-level fortune, he would not give up. No, it must be very difficult to give up and make her resentful. It's okay, what's mine is yours. Roll. Before he finished speaking, a thick wall of ice stood in front of him, blocking his way. It would be completely inappropriate for him to catch up. Being blocked by the ice wall, Zhao Wuxian's face gradually became gloomy. This bitch, you are always on top. Sooner or later, you will kneel down in front of me and beg for mercy. Wait until the day you fall into my hands and see how I rape you. Thinking of the future, he still smiled. Zhang Zizai, you dare to follow me and bring your own treasure. You are just seeking death. Why can't I meet you? Don't fall into my hands. He muttered. In fact, he met Zhang Zizai, because he came before Zhang Zizai had gone far, so Zhang Zizai listened to their conversation. This guy actually thought that he was in the reincarnation state. It seemed that he still didn't believe Zhang Zizai at all. Zhang Zizai didn't bother to talk to him. After he left, he took out the red petal he got before. Why do these red petals feel like one of the colorful flowers outside? The more he looked at it, the more it looked like it. If the petals were black, it would be somewhat similar to the petals in his natal totem. Perhaps, if you figure out what this is, what the colorful flowers are, you can get what the black petals in my natal totem are. In addition, if this red flower appears here, then it is very likely that petals of 6 other colors will appear. After all, there are 7 colors of colorful flowers appearing outside. Of course, this is just Zhang Zizai's guess. He collected the red petals and continued on his way, wandering through the labyrinth and crypt. Thank you for your hard work. The delicious food in front of you makes you stop at the edge. I will try to give you a full meal next time. You have been hungry for too long. Zhang Zizai looked at his little brother helplessly. This guy is really suffering after following him. I don't know where the immortal has gone, and Yanner is not easy to attack. If the aloof immortal has such thoughts, she will probably be torn into pieces by her. No, one day, I want the immortal lord to become my jeweler. Here he made a vow for his little brother. I probably spent a few days wandering around, but I still didn't figure out what other mysteries there were in this passage. I did meet a lot of people, but Zhang Zizai basically passed them by without encountering them. On this day, he finally felt something strange. This was a feeling of being summoned, not from the black petals, but from his own blood. It was as if something connected to his blood appeared in front of him, and he implicated together. When Zhang Zizai approached there, he felt inexplicably friendly, his body became more comfortable, his blood was excited, and his mood was very strong. He felt that this might be an illusion or hallucination, and something similar to the psychedelic flower might appear, so he approached more cautiously. When he got closer, Xuanhuan first saw that there were 4 people. Fight here. They are competing. And the object of their competition is also a flower. However, it was a snow-white flower, which looked different from the bright red flower before. This snow-white flower was very pure. The most amazing thing was that above this flower, there was a mist-like dragon coiled on it, riding on the clouds. The flower quietly bloomed in the corner, and the 4 people were fighting to pick the flower. No matter who approached, the other 3 would frantically intercept, so that no one could get close. They were still talking. It can be seen that this flower did not seem to have any psychedelic effect, but the coiled dragon seemed a little strange. Zhang Zizai knew that it was the dragon on the white petals that attracted him and brought him here. The combat power of these 4 people may be around the 7th level of the God King realm. Zhang Zizai listened nearby and roughly knew their identities. The 4 of them came from different god domains and were not allies with each other, so the competition was very fierce. There was a black-haired man named Zhao Xianming, from the Hundong demon clan. There is a purple-haired beauty from the sacred phoenix clan named Huang Yu, who seems to have some relationship with Huang 11. Zhang Zizai vaguely remembers that she stood next to Huang 11. There is a young man from the time realm who looks the strongest, named Lu Qingying, who almost picked the flower several times, but was intercepted by the other 3 people. There is also a person from the Golden Mountain realm named Jin Dingtian, whose totem is actually a mountain. Please bookmark this site to read the latest novels. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Feng Qingyang. Chapter 1277. This fight was indeed very lively. The 4 people should have come here by chance and encountered this white flower. Although they didn't know what it was, they naturally wanted to grab the things that appeared in Zilongjiyuan first. Judging from this white flower, there should be other flowers here, but they should not be different from the red flower before. There is no doubt that the red flower before was very dangerous, and the white flower in front of them looked a bit harmless, otherwise the four people would be psychedelic and there would be no room for fighting here. When Zhang Zizai just arrived, he even saw that Lu Qingying in the time god realm almost touched the white flower, but suddenly, the mist white dragon on the flower suddenly woke up and blew out a breath. The breath was mixed with lightning, flames, ice, hurricanes, and many other forces, which impacted Lu Qingying's hands, making him scream and retreat. The other three people also rushed forward, but without exception, they all made the white dragon spit out a breath of dragon breath, and basically they were forced to retreat. This will only attract other people. Why don't we calm down first and have everyone take a chance to see who can pick the flower successfully, Huang Yu of the Sacred Phoenix clan said depressedly. You're thinking too much. According to what you said, who will come first? Can I come first? Zhao Xianming said with a smile. The order of precedence is indeed a problem. If the person who comes first can get it done directly, then the person who comes later will suffer. Then it depends on luck and draw lots to decide, Huang Yu said. It's naive, it's better to rely on real skills, Zhao Xianming said. Although the other two did not speak, if they went up one by one to try, they would definitely go first. Even if they drew lots, no one would be willing to line up behind others. So the four people were in a stalemate. As long as someone made a slight move, the others would immediately become nervous. What they couldn't get, others couldn't get. And the mist white dragon on the white flower seemed to be sleeping, but at a critical moment, it would definitely resist and cause trouble for them. Even if they stood out, they might not be able to really pick the white flower. Just when they were in a stalemate, a voice suddenly sounded, making them completely nervous. Don't fight, just give it to me. There is a dragon on this white flower, which is obviously something from our Supreme Dragon clan. When he was talking, Zhang Zizai came here and walked in front of them. The four of them had cold expressions and were a little scared by Zhang Zizai's appearance, but they reacted quickly. When they saw that it was Zhang Zizai, such a young boy, who came in, they not only relaxed, but also wanted to laugh. They could see that Zhang Zizai's realm was at most the 6th level of the God King realm, not even as good as them. He dared to come out and say such big words at this time. This is simply courting death. In such a dark corner, killing and bleeding is more normal than anything else. In fact, they overestimated that Zhang Zizai's realm is only the 5th level of the God King realm. They relaxed for a while, but because of a name that Zhao Xianming suddenly said in a lost voice, the atmosphere instantly fell into madness and murder. Zhang Zizai. Zhao Xianming had seen him before. When he got the crystal beast heart, he also chased Zhang Zizai and roughly remembered what he looked like. In fact, the other people present, except Jin Dingtian from Jinshan Divine Domain, Lu Qingying and Huang Yu had seen Zhang Zizai, but they just didn't remember it just now. Zhao Xianming reminded them, and they naturally recognized him at once. It was definitely Zhang Zizai, absolutely genuine. They couldn't forget the appearance of such an important person. Awe and madness instantly filled their hearts. Compared with Zhang Zizai, the white flower next to him was immediately ignored, because killing Zhang Zizai was equivalent to using the crystal beast heart and the ancient black fire pillar plus the 2-world talisman to get this white flower, and it is not known what effect it will have at present. Which is more important, it is clear at a glance. It is just like when they were fighting for a copper coin, a big piece of gold suddenly fell from the sky. In this case, who would care about the copper coin? You are so bold, you dare to follow Zilong and come out to see us. I think you are committing suicide and wanting to die, Zhao Xianming trembled. He never thought that one day, the opportunity to change his fate against the will of heaven would be so close to him. Even though he had a high status in the Hundong demon clan, he had no chance to become a god. Now, he saw the opportunity to become a god and live forever. At this time, he was impatient again, even more impatient than before. He was most wary of not Zhang Zizhe, but the other three people. In their eyes, Zhang Zizhe was just a treasure. Zhang Zizhe knew that he was like a great beauty. Before he made a move, they would fight for him first. As expected, they started the previous drama again. When Zhao Xianming first attacked Zhang Zizhe and rushed over, the three people behind him directly attacked him and entangled him. Zhao Xianming was very unwilling. In this competition, he directly turned into a totem beast. It was a golden tiger standing upright. It had a huge body and a majestic body. It looked like a human form, but in fact, its arms and head were almost the same as those of a tiger. The golden tiger, with black stripes, looked down on the world, like a peerless emperor, the king of all beasts. His totem is called World-Shaking Emperor Tiger Demon Totem. The totem is not a tiger, but a tiger demon. The concept is completely different, so his totem beast is half demon and half tiger. It has the domineering and strength of a tiger, sharp claws and fangs, as well as the majesty and power of a demon. This Emperor Tiger Demon God of the world seems to be of the same level as Zhao Wuxin's Lion Demon God. They are both beast kings and possess overbearing and arrogant power. The other three also turned into totem beasts at this juncture, otherwise Zhao Xianming would have to seize the initiative. The phoenix rain turned into a purple phoenix, which was very gorgeous and more flexible in the air. The flame on its body was also top-notch. In addition to being scorching, it was similar to the ancient black fire and had the effect of burning the soul. The phoenix was elegant and not as rough as the tiger demon god, but if the two fought, Phoenix Rain might not lose to Zhao Xianming. The weirder ones are the other two. Their totems are of a special type. For example, Jin Dingtian's totem is the eternal golden mountain totem. He directly turned into a golden mountain, all gold. But this golden mountain is like a star, it can move and change, and its shape is not fixed at all. It looks simple, but if you ignore it, it may lead to being defeated by the opponent. This kind of totem is actually more lethal. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1278. The last one is Lu Qingying's Time Beast. Time beasts are beasts, but they look like a ball of mist, lifeless and invisible. They are also changing and condensing into the appearance of a beast. Zhang Zizhe can fully feel the control of time by this time beast. His totem, called Chaotic Ear's Time Beast Totem, is also a very rare category. So the four people have turned into totem beasts. Their goal is not to defeat Zhang Zizhe, but to compete with each other for Zhang Zizhe, so the first time is still to fight each other, as if only the person who survives to the end can get Zhang Zizhe. Zhang Zizhe is very honored to be competed like a peerless beauty, but he does not want the huge movement to attract more people. They did not turn into totem beasts just now because of this worry, so Zhang Zizhe was too lazy to spend time watching their internal fights. When they were fighting, he directly took action, holding the ancient black fire pillar in human form, and rushed into their battlefield. His action was enough to stun the other four people. They all paused for a moment, knowing that they were facing Zhang Zizhe's real attack. The 9-dragon Chaos God Bell had been deployed, protecting what should be protected and controlling what should be controlled. When he used the current ancient God Source power to control the Chaos Earth Bell, Chaos Wind Bell and Chaos Ice Bell, the terrible control brought by the 3 Chaos Giant Bells directly crushed the 4 people. The Chaos Earth Bell covered the ground, and suddenly everyone was like a huge golden mountain pressing on them. Even Jin Dingtian felt the huge pressure, and the following ice-sealed 10,000 miles and soul-splitting storm formed an even more terrible suppression. The Chaos Soul Bell appeared directly above their heads. A moment ago, the requiem sounded. When the requiem began, they were defenseless and fell into a state of loss of soul and walking corpses. The strength of the requiem became more lethal after Zhang Zizai's progress. He had just defeated Xuanhuan, the 8th level God King who possessed the heavenly artifact. These 4 7th level God Kings simply couldn't withstand his crushing. Zhang Zizai did not transform into the soul-killing song, but directly controlled them with the requiem song, making them infatuated in his control. At this moment, he held the ancient black fire pillar in his hand and appeared directly in front of Zhao Xianming. Zhao Xianming felt the danger coming in his dream and attacked Zhang Zizai desperately, but when Zhang Zizai hit him with a stick, his seemingly young body in human form directly pulled the huge tiger demon god out and made it hit the mountain wall, causing the ground to shake. This was purely done with physical strength. Of course, for Zhao Xianming, the greater lethality came from the ancient black fire burning the soul. Under one stick, he could only scream on the ground. Zhang Zizai instantly moved his opponent. Although Huang Yu was beautiful, he was used to being cruel and destroying flowers. He would stop everything, no matter what beauty she was. Under one stick, when the purple phoenix rolled on the ground and howled in pain, it was naturally not beautiful. There is also the Golden Mountain. His defense is very high, but he has no soul defense. Meeting Zhang Zizai is his nightmare. He seems to be very durable, but in fact, he will be burned by the ancient black fire with a stick, and he will be exhausted and can only tremble. The requiem has the greatest effect on him. From beginning to end, he seems to have not woken up. The slightly more difficult one is the time beast. He can actually let himself fall into a time vortex, and the speed is greatly reduced, but this is not difficult for Zhang Zizai. He is trapped in this time swamp, but his ancient black fire pillar can be longer. He directly swung a stick from a distance, and after a mess, even Lu Qingying could only fall to the ground, looking at Zhang Zizai with a pale face. The 4 of them were without exception. The bodies of the totem beasts were directly knocked off by Zhang Zizai. Now they are all in human form, and all of them are pale. From the perspective of the flesh, there is no injury, but the souls are severely damaged. Although not to the extent of Zhao Wuxin, but after thinking a little, the soul is very painful, the whole person is listless, and he doesn't even have the strength to control the body to stand up. At this moment, Zhang Zizai was unscathed, and landed lightly on the ground, completely unaffected. He landed in the middle of the 4 people. At that moment, the 4 of them dared only to shrink back. In fact, they were still confused, so they were all trembling, but they didn't know what to do. Everyone was in a daze. Zhang Zizai, were you in the reincarnation state just now? Huang Yu was the first to react, and asked tremblingly. She knew that this person had defeated Zhao Wuxin and was said to have entered the reincarnation state. Yes, the reincarnation state is easy to enter. I am in the reincarnation state every day, Zhang Zizai said with a smile. That's not it, the reincarnation state is not so easy, and after the fight, there will be progress. Huang Yu took a deep breath. She couldn't figure out the meaning of it. If it wasn't the reincarnation state, a person in his 20s defeated the joint efforts of the 4 7th level God Kings. Impossible. If it's not the reincarnation state, how could he defeat us? No matter how many heavenly artifacts he has, it's useless, Zhao Xianming struggled. This end was too different from what he imagined, and he was almost crazy now. In your 20s, your achievements are unprecedented, and I'm afraid there will be no others in the future. I can only say that you are terrifying. What's even more terrifying is that no one in the ancient realm knows whether you are there or not. It's already so scary when I wake up. Lu Qingying is the calmest person. He had barely fought with Zhang Zizai just now, and there was no chance at all. He knew that he was crushed. What level is Zhang Zizai like? He knew very well in his heart, and he knew even more that this would definitely not be a reincarnation state. Stop bragging about me. Zhang Zizai defeated them just to make them give way. He had already walked in front of the white dragon with white flowers. He first observed how to get this flower. When they tried just now, they were killed by the white dragon. Attacked. Impossible. It is said that he is not a god king when he enters the ancient realm. No one can do this. It has only been less than a year. This is absolutely impossible. Zhao Xianming was still struggling. He looked at Zhang Zizai blankly. In fact, no matter how many times he said it was impossible, he was just unwilling to admit the facts. He didn't admit it because he knew very well in his heart that all of this was true. Don't be stupid. Such a defiant person is indeed worthy of respect. If the Supreme Dragon Clan can produce such a person, it will be good in the future, Huang Yu said thoughtfully. There will be many people who don't believe it like you, but I also believe what I saw with my own eyes. Lu Qingying squinted his eyes and stood up. Before Zhang Zizai got the white flower, he was already ready to leave and stay here. Makes no sense. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Feng Qingyang. Chapter 1279. When he took a few steps, there was movement there. When he looked back, he saw his white dragon coiling around Zhang Zizai very docilely, rubbing his temples intimately. After that, it and the white flowers turned into a white petal fell into Zhang Zizai's hand. They are the white petals of the colorful flowers outside, so there are probably 7 such flowers inside, Lu Qingying murmured. He had good eyesight, and he could see clearly at once, and his guess was the same as Zhang Zizai's guess. I think so too. Zhang Zizai didn't expect it to be so easy for him to get the white flower. He remembered that he was summoned, so the white flower belonged to him. After all, there was a white dragon on it. From then on, he had a white flower in his hand. There are already 2 petals. You are so lucky that you are the chosen one. Huang Yu also struggled to stand up. After saying something with a helpless smile, she turned and left. After everyone left, Zhang Zizai also left directly. Zhang Zizai, God King Wuxian will deal with you, Zhao Xianming roared from behind. Whatever, let him hurry up, otherwise there will be no chance. Zhang Zizai's voice echoed in the cave without saying anything. Zhao Xianming turned over and lay on the ground, looking at the stone wall in the sky, unable to recover for a long time. After that, Zhang Zizai continued to wander around the cave, meeting many people and basically didn't bother to meet them. There should be other flowers in this cave maze, but Zhang Zizai didn't find any more. Such wandering must require luck, and he estimated that it is likely that other people will also gain something. After all, more than 100 people came in, and he got them all. With 2 petals, it is impossible for him to find all the benefits by himself. Others must also have the opportunity. After all, the test of each flower may not be the same. For Zhang Zizai, the white petals seemed to be almost no test. During this process, she even met Shui Yulian. She was walking aimlessly with her head lowered. Zhang Zizai suddenly appeared behind her and asked, "How are you? Are you still thinking about it? Get out of here." She was startled. She was really thinking about this matter, so she was startled at this moment. She felt like her mind was being exposed. Of course, she blushed, and her heart beat faster. "I feel guilty and blush, I shouldn't. You are so much older than me, you shouldn't be so pure." Zhang Zizai smiled. "Don't mention your age all the time, okay? I know you're young, little bastard. I'm just as big a brat as you actually." After thinking about it, she found that he wasn't that annoying, and she had indeed thought about what happened that day. "Who is a brat? Do you have any associations?" Zhang Zizai said with a smile. "Shameless. Keeping all these things in your mind will affect your cultivation sooner or later." She rolled her eyes. "You don't have to worry about this. My cultivation is just like eating. As long as I have food to eat, I can become stronger without having to worry about it, Zhang Zizai said. Nonsense, pride makes people fall behind. She glanced at him angrily, but it was actually quite charming. It has to be said that the ambiguous relationship between men and women can make a person change a lot after a passionate encounter. Even this peerless princess of the Kangxue divine realm lost her temper in front of Zhang Zizai and put away her airs. By the way, I was actually too panicked at the beginning. My body knew better than you did. So I don't blame you. It's not your fault after all. She lowered her head and said, talking about this matter, it's really hard to talk about. You haven't done anything? Then I've seen all the possibilities, touched them all, and remember the feel, Zhang Zizai said in shock. Ah, you stinky scoundrel, get out of here. I originally wanted to make it clear to him, but it turned out that it didn't make sense, and what Zhang Zizai said was true, which was even more difficult to say. Haha, don't worry, we are even, because your hands are not idle either. She felt it was strange that the other party was indeed too small for her, but she had already passed the years when she was in love when she was very young, and her heart had calmed down a lot with practice. But in front of him, under a few words, it was a big mess. Be friends. Let's go shopping together. It's too boring to be alone, Zhang Zizai said. Indeed, after entering the ancient realm, no one spoke, so he was not used to it. Now, this is the only person in Xuanhuan who is not jealous when he sees him. Okay, seeing that he had changed the subject, Xuanhuan quickly picked up the conversation, fearing that he would talk about what happened that day again. You won't take the opportunity to kill me and seize the treasure, right? Zhang Zizai asked. You think I'm an idiot? I don't dare to fight with you. You're a pervert. She no longer had any greed for Zhang Zizai and felt relaxed. In fact, it was Zhang Zizai who scared her. Yes, the little girl is very self-aware, Zhang Zizai said seriously. I regard you as your great-great-grandmother and your ancestor for 18 generations. I am still a little girl, she said dismissively. You are so old and your skin is still so tender. How do you take care of it? Natural beauty. Haha. Cultivation, lurking, growth, sometimes someone can tease you, it seems to make it a lot easier. After all, it is said that the more you look at beautiful women, the longer your life will be. I just don't know what Zhao Wuxian will do if he sees it. After all, she had refused to be with him before. The next month or so was indeed a lot of fun, but what was a little depressing was that I didn't find anything after spending all my time in vain. Little bastard, are you sure there might be 7 flowers? Xuanhuan asked. You got 2 flowers. I don't know how others got. I feel that there are fewer people recently. Maybe they went to other places and we are trapped here, she said with a little worry. It is possible. Why are you so cold? Xuanhuan said aggrievedly. She felt that Zhang Zizai was not paying attention to her. Don't talk. Feel carefully. Is there a voice calling you? Zhang Zizai was not deliberately cold. He was listening seriously. Huh, she was stunned for a moment, then closed her eyes. When she opened her eyes, she looked in the same direction as Zhang Zizai and said, yes, over there, it seems to be the sound of wind chimes, and it seems to be a dream talk. I heard it too, but it's not a real sound. It's the call of the soul, Zhang Zizai said. Go over and take a look. Of course. The two of them sped up and headed over there. Zhang Zizai said, the call that you and I can hear is likely to be heard by everyone. We just heard the call when we approached this area. Others may have heard it long ago. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1280. But it is still calling, which means that the source has not been solved. If there is a treasure, it means that it still exists, Xuanhuan said. Yes, the little girl is very smart, Zhang Zizai smiled. That's right, I am very smart, Xuanhuan smiled coquettishly. Pretending to be young again, Zhang Zizai rolled his eyes, quickened his pace, and said, "Catch up with me, I will give you a chance to eat tender grass." "Are you serious?" She has heard too many words like this from him these days, and she has long been accustomed to it. She is not to be outdone. The more shy she is in front of him, the more she will be teased. It is better to be bold and relaxed. Suddenly remembered that these were all the games he played with Juxian before, all the teasing and entertainment were like this, but the person who could play and joke with Zhang Zizai like this seemed to be gone. He looked back at the goddess of Kangxue divine realm. In fact, she will never be Juxian. Maybe she can be a friend, but it is impossible to find the shadow of Juxian in her. The shadow of Juxian is still in the immortal venerable. It's getting more and more obvious. Zhang Zizai has already felt it. "Yes, I heard it too. Now it sounds like a song, the kind that makes people very relaxed," Xuanhuan said. "It's a bit like the requiem of the nine-dragon chaos god Bel." Zhang Zizai heard it. "Your song is really terrible. Under the suppression, people lose their souls, as if they are dead." She is a little scared when she thinks about it now. As Zhang Zizai and the others continued to move forward, the song became more and more obvious. He suddenly stopped and looked forward. "We are late," Zhang Zizai said. "What do you mean? The treasure was taken away?" she asked nervously. "No, no wonder there are fewer people recently. It turns out that they have all come here. There is another underground palace in front, which should be the exit of this maze. There are more than 130 people in it now, and almost all of them are gathered here." "Are they all here? Is the treasure still there? The one who called us?" "Still, they are all competing." Zhang Zizai smiled. When he said he was late, he meant that he came late and everyone else had arrived, not that there was no chance. Does he really have a divine soul? He can see so far. "It's amazing," she sighed, then asked, "What is the treasure?" "A purple flower." "Purple? Could it be the last of the 7 flowers? In that case, the other 4 flowers were obtained by others. It is possible that it was finished in this underground palace. Let's go directly there." After Zhang Zizai confirmed it, he went with her again. "You go with me, aren't you afraid that Zhao Wuxian will be jealous?" Zhang Zizai asked. "There is nothing to worry about. I have decided that I will not marry him," she said firmly. "Did you make the decision in this salon, Xuanhuan?" She nodded. "Could it be that you are fascinated by me and have fallen in love with someone else, you scumbag?" Zhang Zizai said contemptuously. "Bullshit, I just know more clearly what kind of life I want. He is not the one I am looking for. I used to think that men were just like that in the world, but now I know that there are always different kinds. For example, me. You are one kind, maybe there are more kinds. Now I don't want to hang myself on a tree. I was busy practicing before, but now I want to meet more people of all kinds. In the end, I will definitely find that I am the best, haha. You are not good, too arrogant, and you must be very romantic in your bones. I must be more cautious when approaching people like you." She rolled her eyes. "Nonsense, I am pure as a piece of paper." "Don't talk nonsense, I have known for a long time that you and the immortal venerable had an affair in your mortal life. You have given birth to a child, but you are still pretending here. You know all this? What a gossip! I didn't expect this matter to spread so far. Is the immortal venerable really beautiful? Now everyone says that she is the most beautiful woman in the 49 divine realms. You really made a fortune," she said enviously. "Well, haha." Zhang Zizai talked about her, and Zhang Zizai had to enter reality. He didn't want to face this problem now, especially Lingling. He had 10,000 thoughts in his heart, but it was useless. He could only continue to venture down here. Finally, he and Xuanhuan came here. Before he showed up, Xuanhuan said, "You just show up like this? I'm afraid that by then, no one will be interested in the purple flower, and they will all come to hunt you down. Just like when he got the white flower before. It doesn't matter. Today is different from the past. Today, no one can catch me. Zhang Zizai smiled. He may not be the opponent of Wu Tian Shenwang and others, but it is not so easy to catch him and kill him. Just like this, he and Shui Yulian suddenly appeared in this underground palace. The sound of footsteps made all the people who were paying attention to the purple flower turn around for a while. Seeing the two of them, they were suffocated at first, and then exploded. Zhang Zizai. Many people lost their voices and shouted his name directly. Hello, everyone. When they called out his name, he smiled and waved to everyone, looking like a leader. Shui Yulian, who was worried about him, couldn't help but burst out laughing. This guy was really good at finding joy in misery. And her smile also completely caught Zhao Wuxian's eyes. Everyone was watching Zhang Zizai approach. He walked up directly, and when people were still in a daze, he asked, "What are you doing here? Are you at a loss for a solution to this purple flower? It doesn't matter, I'll help you solve this obstacle." He walked forward in the crowd, and Shui Yulian even stopped, not knowing what he was going to do. "Zhang Zizai, do you know that if I kill you, I can get the crystal beast heart, the ancient black fire pillar, and the two realms talisman?" In front of him, Huang 11 of the Holy Phoenix clan asked word by word. "I know," Zhang Zizai said. "I heard that you relied on the reincarnation state to defeat Shui Yulian, as well as Huang Yu of my clan, and the other 3 7th level god kings." Huang 11 asked again. "Yes, if it weren't for the reincarnation state, they would have died tragically on the spot. It's a pity that they didn't get the good fortune." Zhang Zizai smiled. Everyone can see that he is not afraid of anything. "Lianer, did you come here with him?" Zhao Wuxian didn't look at Zhang Zizai. This was the most deadly time. Everyone was ready to start, and no one searched the East China Sea first. "Yeah, is it not possible? You don't kill him." Zhao Wuxian couldn't imagine it. "I was defeated, don't you know? You still think it's a reincarnation state?" She was too lazy to say more about his ignorance, arrogance, and stubbornness. It was easy to lose interest in a person completely over a small matter. "Okay, if you don't kill, I will." Zhao Wuxian held his breath, already murderous. "You kill? As if we don't exist," Huang 11 sneered. Everyone was ready, not just Zhao Wuxian himself. Sure enough, people had forgotten about the purple flower. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1281. No matter how you calculate it, Zhang Zizai's life is more important than everything they get. Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. If there weren't too many competitors, Zhao Wuxian would have taken action long ago. On the one hand, Zhang Zizai means treasure, and on the other hand, it is also because he can clearly feel that Shui Yulian has a bad attitude towards him, but treats Zhang Zizai well. The last time she was defeated by Zhang Zizai, he could tell that something was a little strange. When murderous intent and jealous hatred came together, he had never had such a level of murderous intention. "I don't believe it anymore. You can still enter the reincarnation state again and again." He took a step forward, but at this time, almost everyone took a step forward. As before, in front of these hungry wolves, Zhang Zizai seemed to be just an immovable piece of meat. They didn't regard Zhang Zizai as the same thing, but regarded everyone else as competitors. This is the time when a single move can affect the whole body. The slightest movement by anyone may cause a battle to break out in this underground palace in an instant, and it is a fierce battle, regardless of life or death. Shui Yulian, who was closest to Zhang Zizai, attracted more people's vigilance. Some people must have thought that she was trying to seduce Zhang Zizai with her beauty. At this heated moment, Zhang Zizai made an understatement, as if he didn't care about the fact that everyone wanted to kill him. Instead, he walked towards the crowd in a relaxed and natural way, even a little carefree, and said, "Everyone is doing this seriously. What's so interesting about me? I shouldn't look at this flower more, right? I just saw it, and you all tried, but no one can get close, so it seems it's my turn." As he spoke, he swaggered towards the strange flower in the center. "You don't have to pretend to be crazy. One thing is for sure today, that is, you are dead. The suspense is only in whose hands you will die," Huang 11 said in a cold voice. Beside her, Huang Yu stood as expected. She looked at Zhang. The look in his eyes was free, but there was still some fear. "Then I'll die in your hands, why don't you take action?" Zhang Zizai opened his arms in a hug gesture, leaving the door wide open, looking completely careless. This made Huang 11 frown deeply. She had never been so provoked. If she was the only one, she would have taken action long ago. Unfortunately, now that Zhang Zizai said this, everyone looked at her with vigilance. Now, she was in this moment where she was buried everywhere. Whoever made a move first would be killed immediately. It ignited, exploded instantly, and fell directly into the melee. If she took action first, everyone would target her. If she was not careful, she might die here. Therefore, even if Zhang Zizai was so provocative, she still stood her ground. Those who achieve great things do not stick to trivial matters. She could still endure this little provocation. "Since you haven't done anything yet, I'm going to give it a try," Zhang Zizai laughed dumbly. In fact, he knew the psychology of these people and what state they were in now. They felt that Zhang Zizai would definitely die today. There was no need for this. No doubt, everyone wanted to kill him, but there were too many hungry wolves. There were so many that, out of fear of each other, no one ever started. Some people must even think that this is definitely a fight to the death today, and there may be no point in taking action first, because after getting Zhang Zizai's treasure, there is a high possibility that he will become the next piece of fat, and become a treasure like Zhang Zizai, and be everyone is afraid. Qingyang ancient god style is very likely to set up such a game. There is a certain possibility of being the first to kill Zhang Zizai, which may not be a good thing. Of course, it is also possible that by killing Zhang Zizai, he would be protected by the Qingyang ancient god, and it is not certain that he would be able to escape unscathed. It is these uncertainties that make everyone present struggle, because there are too many people and the place is not big enough. Whether to be the first to kill Zhang Zizai or not is a dilemma, not to mention facing pressure from other people. No matter how murderous Zhao Wuxian was, he was still patient and thinking about whether to kill first. He is obviously not in the reincarnation state now. As long as I take action, he should be able to die instantly. I am afraid that after I get everything, I will become the next target and they will surround me and kill me. Zhao Wuxian's mind was in chaos. The treasure is right in front of them, but no one dares to move yet. This scene looks a bit funny. In this case, leaving them confused, Zhang Zizai swaggered towards the purple flower. When he arrived at this position, the calling voice became more and more obvious. When Zhang Zizai's heavenly soul covered the flower, he already knew that this was a flower of the soul. Every one of them had wanted to get close to this flower before, but the heavy waves of souls on the flower were shaken. Even Lu Shizhen, the god of silence, never got close to this purple flower. And now, while they were hesitating, Zhang Zizai had already entered the soul wave range of this purple flower. He has already felt the impact, like a big wave, coming one after another. From this step on, it is already difficult for ordinary souls to bear it, let alone go inside. Except for Shui Yulian, no one knew that he had a divine soul, so no one was worried about him arriving in this area. They still looked at each other with normal eyes. The scene was a bit subtle. So far, there was still a lack of someone with a hot head to ruin the atmosphere. The first person to take action against Zhang Zizai. However, it can still be arranged. Zhao Wuxian couldn't help it, but he didn't do it himself. Instead, he gave an order. After struggling for a while, Zhao Xianming suddenly rushed towards Zhang Zizai. His move directly affected everyone. In an instant, everyone moved. Zhao Xianming saw this and shrank back. The treasure was important, but his life was more important. He was not interested in Zhang Zizai anyway. He didn't succeed when the opportunity was so good, not to mention that so many strong men were here this time. However, he did make the scene completely chaotic. As long as there was chaos, war was inevitable. In the first stage, everyone rushed towards Zhang Zizai. It's finally here. These people were murderous and couldn't bear it anymore. At this time, they broke out. The scene was really scary. It felt like thousands of troops were coming towards him. Zhang Zizai didn't do anything else. He directly accelerated and went towards the purple flower. Although these waves were strong, they were in the outer circle after all, and the impact on Zhang Zizai was not too great. The gap came out all at once. Zhang Zizai was moving at an extremely fast speed, but when this group of people caught up with him and entered the range of his soul shock, his speed immediately slowed down. Some of those with weak souls were already struggling to move. Only a few who were close to possessing heavenly souls could maintain the same speed as Zhang Zizai. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1282. Zhang Zizai saw that it was Lu Shizhen, Zhao Wuxian, and Huang 11, as well as several other 9th-level god kings, and there were also 20 or so 8th-level god kings following behind. When Zhang Zizai came in, they still felt that there was a chance, because this way they could screen out some people and prevent others from taking advantage of the situation. Don't struggle, how far can you go for a guy who just became a god king, Zhao Wuxian sneered. He saw that Zhang Zizai seemed to move very quickly in the impact of the soul wave, but he didn't think how deep he could go. Even if he was the purple flower, he still had 1/3 to get close. In their opinion, it would be very good for Zhang Zizai to get 1/5 at most. They were also very fast, and it seemed that they caught up with Zhang Zizai immediately and oppressed him, but they were more vigilant to each other. While moving forward, they were also vigilant about the positions of others. In fact, all this happened between the flashes of lightning and fire. Then, something happened that made their minds suddenly blank. That is, after this, Zhang Zizai actually accelerated. He walked as fast as if nothing had happened. In an instant, he distanced himself from Huang 11 and Zhao Wuxian. He was like an arrow, piercing directly into the range of the soul wave. In less than 10 breaths, he walked 2/3 of the distance. When Zhang Zizai stood at a distance of only 1/3 of the distance from the purple flower and looked back at Zhao Wuxian and others, they had only walked less than 1/4 of the distance. At this moment, they raised their heads and looked at Zhang Zizai in astonishment, forgetting to move forward. In this underground palace, except for Shui Yulian who was smiling, everyone else was trembling. Didn't he just become a god king? In a year, he could only practice 1 or 2 levels at most. How could he? Zhao Wuxian didn't dare to believe his eyes at all. This was something that could not exist in the entire 49 god realms. Not only him, but everyone was in a daze now. I understand. No wonder he can control the ancient black fire pillar. It is very likely that his soul is very strong. He must have practiced some method to strengthen his soul, so he can reach this position. Lu Shizhen narrowed his eyes slightly. They were slightly stunned, but they were still chasing forward. Although their speed was not as fast as Zhang Zizai, at least the 3 of them were sure to reach Zhang Zizai's current position. As for the others behind, there was no need to think about it. Zhang Zizai was too lazy to pay attention to them. Now, in fact, he only needed Chaos Lightning to rely on his speed to be invincible. They wanted to besiege him again, which was impossible, and they didn't even need the cover of the Soul Wave. Of course, he was also very quiet now, because these people could not get close to him at all, and he was the only one who had the heavenly soul. At this point, the soul wave is actually very violent. The surging waves are constantly roaring and impacting, which is deafening, but it is much better than the millstone of the Taixu universe soul refining technique. Until today, Zhang Zizai is still enduring the grinding of the millstone to make his heavenly soul stronger. So the soul wave of the purple flower is somewhat difficult for him, but it may not be impossible to challenge. At this moment, he ignored Zhao Wuxian and others and continued to move forward, and he was still able to move forward. This really set off the whole scene. Many people withdrew directly because of the discomfort. Only more than 30 people were still chasing, but it was obvious that they could not reach Zhang Zizai's position at all. They had tried it before, even Lu Shijian could only move forward 2/3 at most, and now Zhang Zizai's position is already 4/5 of the total distance, and the purple flower is almost in front of him. And Zhang Zizai seems to have enough energy to move forward, unlike others, who are already sweating profusely at this time. Impossible, Zhao Wuxian was still immersed in disbelief. His steps were light and sweaty, but he saw Zhang Ziyu moving freely inside. This reality was difficult for him to bear. The more unstable his state of mind was, the worse his performance was. He could only retreat and could not move forward at all. Some other people saw that it was impossible and this was reality. What a pity. As long as he hides in here, no one can do anything to him. No wonder he is so fearless and confident. How can he have such a spirit? Is he going to hide in there for 4 years? If he doesn't come out before the end of the 49 sacrifices, it's true. But can he stand the loneliness? They are now like a group of hungry wolves that can't climb trees. Seeing that the meat is already hanging on the tree, they can only salivate below, angry and depressed, but there is nothing they can do. The more they look, the hungrier they become. Later, even Zhao Wuxian and Lu Shijian couldn't hold on any longer and came out directly, all of them pale. Zhang Zizai was the only one within the range of the soul wave. He was still approaching the purple flower and maintaining a certain walking speed, just a little slower than before. Zhang Zizai, are you really determined to hide in there for 4 years? Huang 11 asked with contempt. What a joke, I'll pick this flower and go out, Zhang Zizai said. You want to pick flowers? Everyone was shocked. Is he really not afraid of death? This guy who just became the God King not long ago, so many people are eyeing him, he finally climbed up the tree, and now he said he would cut off the branches and jump down? Oh, then we'll wait and see. You must do what you say, don't be a grandson who doesn't keep his word, Huang 11 sneered. Zhao Wuxian actually talked a lot, but when his hatred and murderous intent surged, he didn't want to talk, but Huang 11 asked more questions. Come on, I know you are old, and compared to me, you are an old witch, but don't recognize your grandson randomly, Zhang Zizai laughed. In that position, his tone of voice was so normal, and he could even laugh, which was even more terrifying. Hearing this, Xuanhuan couldn't help but chuckle. She knew that Zhang Zizai was not a messy person. Since he dared to go out, he must be sure that he would not lose his life, and the arrogant and fierce others did not realize this at all. Humph. Huang 11 didn't say anything else. She still hadn't figured out how to get Zhang Zizai's treasure safely, so she was very troubled. The competitors were eyeing him one by one. Now the most afraid thing was that Zhang Zizai would not come out, but what Huang 11 really couldn't figure out was that Zhang Zizai actually walked towards the purple flower. In full view of everyone, he actually walked to the side of the flower.